Veteran homelessness has increased over the past number of years for a variety of reasons. People have left the service, may not have had a good transition out of the service into a housing situation that may not have been the best for veterans, and wind up back on the street.
Because I ran away at a young age, I only had a grade 9 education. So at 24, I figured that I needed to do something to, maybe get a life instead of being involved with criminals. So I joined the military. The trade they had open at the time that was willing to take me right away was a weapons tech, and that kind of interested me. I like the fact that you only get one mistake, so. Right.
We can start out right off the bat with numbers. If we're looking at the data, we know that there are between 3,000 and 5,000 homeless veterans living on the streets of Canada. That's the ESDC official numbers. There's also other numbers that we know about. The point-in-time counts from across the country give us the number of 4.5 to 5% of the homeless population are veterans. We know a few more things about them. A very high number of our homeless veterans are Indigenous. We also know that the veterans are older, higher educated than the regular homeless population, and also that they are twice as likely to be the victim of crime while living on the street.
Folks who have been in the service often face numerous challenges coming back and readjusting into society, whether that's addressing issues of anxiety, high stress levels, mental health issues, depression, are often exaggerated, if you will, and often go unsupported for veterans who feel that they may not be entitled to that service, in which they are absolutely entitled to the service of mental health support and affordable housing.
In community housing, the common thread that ties us is humanity. And particularly on Remembrance Day, what we recall and what we remember is what the veterans have done for us and our duty to return to them. When veterans come home, they are often changed. They have changed and their situation has changed. And so housing becomes essential for their return and success in community.
I actually had a place with a roommate, and I was there for about 7 years. Right? But then one day he came home and announced that he had cancer, and within 3 weeks he was dead. Yeah. All of a sudden I find myself in an apartment that I can't afford. Right? I mean, I'm on ODSP, right? I'm paying my share, $600 a month. Right? He's paying his share, $600 a month. That left us both, a little bit of money to get everything. Well, when he died, all of a sudden, I can't pay the rent anymore. So, 30 days later, I'm homeless, because that's how long it took the landlord to get an eviction notice. So that's how I ended up in the shelter.
There's a definite shortage of housing, and I have to say, affordable housing and deep affordable housing for homeless individuals writ large, but very specifically housing and affordable housing for homeless vets. And sometimes that housing needs a support service attached to it, or supportive, what we call supportive housing, if you will, that have kind of unique services that help a homeless vet readjust back into society.
So Veterans House is supportive housing, and what that means, it's based on the supportive housing model, and what that means is that we have a staff on site throughout the week to help tenants navigate whether it's stuff in their own personal lives in order to help them stabilize, or whether it's navigating their connection between them and the community that they live in.
So some of the things that we know about veterans that have resulted in them ending up on the streets is a very rough transition from the military to the civilian lifestyle. And one of those really important pieces is that me to we thinking. So when they're in the military, they think about we. It's all about the unit, about taking care of each other, and then the other takes care of them. When you go into a civilian lifestyle, We're all about the me. You take care of yourself first, you take care of others second. There's a breakdown that happens when people make that transition. Then you throw into that issues around mental health, issues around PTSD, issues around drugs and alcohol addictions. Then you have a combination of factors that will help create an environment where they will end up homeless. The important thing to note about that, though, is that it creates also strengths that if we lean into, we can use those to help pull them out of homelessness, bringing them back to the we, bringing them back to that unit mentality of thinking and taking care of others that need to serve. If we create that kind of environment for them, then we have the makings of success for their housing.
No, once you're at the shelter, of course, like I'm saying, it is hard to get out because 1, you don't have addresses, 2, you don't have phone numbers, 3, you're kicked out of there at 7 in the morning, you got to bring all your stuff with you. So, I mean, it's hard to look for a job if you got all your stuff with you, right? You know, so anyway, there is inherent difficulties of looking for work while you are at the shelter. Now, what I want people to realize is it's not just people with addictions that are there. It's not just people with mental health problems that are there. The fact is, more and more it's becoming just your average day person because so many people are like one paycheck away from being homeless themselves.
ONFA members and their partners are doing really great work around veterans housing and serving their communities. And it's in a climate that has been so difficult with systemic underfunding for many, many years. The opportunity is partnerships in collaboration with government and the private sector and not-for-profits in a really fantastic model to move forward in development for community.
So we saw a problem that no one else was really responding to and felt a need and a duty to do something. When we started planning this project, we came out with the idea of having a plan of care charrette. So we brought all of our partners to the table and we presented them with a plan for a building and a plan for mental health program and care. And then we asked them to go to different breakout tables and fix it, tell us what was wrong. And the result was what we have here today. This is all a result of that feedback and was so intentionally designed just to meet their needs. And it's been quite successful. Based on that success, based on what we've built and what we've been able to achieve here, we know we can do more. We know that we need to do more. And based on that, we're going to go out and we're going to create a bunch more of these buildings across the country.
Well, since we've been here, personally, some of the things that's really happened to me that I've enjoyed is I've been able to, once again, start providing community meals, because I like cooking, right? But even more is I'm starting to learn the guitar, right? Photoshop, right? So I'm using my computer now. When you're on the street, you don't have time to do this, right? There's no desire to pick up a guitar and do anything because first of all, who's going to have a guitar, right? You're on the street, right? So yeah, it's nice to be able to use the mind again for enjoyment rather than just trying to survive.
As a sector, we need to continue advocating for more investment in community housing as infrastructure. We need to continue developing really great product that breaks the stigma. And we need to continue engaging with community to show that there are ways for people to get involved and really make a difference. So let's remember to honor veterans on Remembrance Day and ensure that veterans all have a safe, affordable home to return to.
So the most important thing to remember about ending the issue of homelessness amongst veterans is you cannot take someone who is homeless and make them unhomeless without bricks and mortar. We need housing. It doesn't matter what other programming you put in place. If you don't have housing, it's the core of everything.
As somebody that's been on the street, as somebody that's had really nice housing, as somebody that's had really crappy housing, somebody that's lived all across the country many different times, I can say for a fact that once I have a roof over my head, everything else starts.